Hey guys, Rules for Rebels. Today we are talking about e-commerce, and I won't take too long before we get into this, but kind of the point of this video is making sure that e-commerce is the right thing for you. I see a lot of people rushing into e-commerce, I think for no other reason than that they see a lot of people on Reddit or YouTube doing it, and it's a relatively low barrier to entry business. So a lot of people figure, hey, I'll do it, I'll try to make some money. And really the point of this video is to just kind of make you take a serious look at if e-commerce is really right for you. So let's get started. So I want to get into e-commerce, but I'm not really looking to pack orders and be running to the post office all the time. It's something I hear quite a lot in both YouTube comments and emails. Now, any of you guys who are in e-commerce probably realize how ridiculous this sounds. It's akin to saying, I want to be a carpenter, but I don't really want to use a circular saw. In the same way that using a circular saw is kind of a large part of being a carpenter, packing and shipping orders is kind of a large part of e-commerce. Now, don't get me wrong, once you build a large and successful e-commerce business, tedious tasks like packing and shipping orders can be outsourced to a fulfillment service, or you can potentially hire somebody to do things like that so that it gives you more time to focus on bigger picture stuff like growing your business, increasing conversion rates, and driving more traffic. And I'm not going to say that nobody starts a successful e-commerce business and has to do their packing and shipping. Many people outside of the USA have no choice but to start their business this way, as both logistically and financially it just can't work shipping e-commerce packages from, say, the Philippines to US customers. But those are circumstances which are unavoidable. My point is this: if you're starting a brand new e-commerce business, chances are margins are pretty thin. You're going to really need to be on top of your customer service and shipping times to start building a name for yourself, and that's only going to work with you doing your own order packing and shipping. On top of that, when things start out, you're most likely not going to have hundreds of orders coming in per day. You'll probably be lucky to get one order per day, and it's not going to be this huge task that you're maybe expecting. I remember when I first started my business with my business partner back in around 2012, my business partner and I were selling a product for $102. I believe at the time we were paying somewhere between $95 and $98 for this product. Now, after eBay and PayPal fees, if I remember correctly, I think we figured we were making around $2 per order. Looking back, though, we weren't even taking into consideration packing supplies, ink cartridges, tape, peanuts, etc. So in reality, after taking out packaging materials, it was probably only $1 or even 50 cents that we were making per order. Every day I'd get home from work after working an 8 or 9 or 10 hour day and would sit down at my desk, turn on the TV, and pack orders. The next day on my way to my job, I'd make it stop at the post office and sometimes FedEx as well on my way so that I could drop off my day's packages. Now, I don't recall how long exactly this went on for, but probably at least a few months of making very little profit. Eventually, those sales picked up. We started making a name for ourselves and were able to raise our price to $105, and a few weeks after that to $107, and a few weeks after that to $110. Eventually, we settled on a price of, I believe it was $114.95, and we kept that price for about a year. Now, a bit later on down the road, PayPal slapped a rolling reserve on our account. And for those of you guys who don't know what a rolling reserve is, it's when a payment processor decides that your business is at a high risk of chargebacks and or returns and wants to hold back a percentage of your sales in a quote-unquote reserve. Now, we had a stellar history with PayPal. At this point, we were doing well over $100,000 per month in sales. We had few to no returns, never had a chargeback, few PayPal disputes, if any, and of the one or two that we maybe had, we won them by showing tracking and a signature. My point is, we were a model business and still had this rolling reserve slapped on us. I think at the time we were probably making about 15% margins on our sales on average. The rolling reserve PayPal put on us was 25%, held in arrears for 90 days. This meant that if we sold $1,000 worth of merchandise today, $250 of that would be held for 90 days, and on the 91st day we would get that released. Now, as I explained, we were probably working on about 15% margins at the time, which meant if we sold $1,000 worth of merchandise, we profited $150, but PayPal was holding $250, which essentially meant for every $1,000 worth of sales, we were going to lose $100. Now, not permanently, but for the next 90 days until it was released. So, as you can imagine, this gets in the way of being able to order inventory and operate your business when all your profits plus some wind up being tied up. It got to the point that we were unable to order inventory and had over $150,000 tied up in PayPal rolling reserves. Fortunately, we had a good relationship with our suppliers and got them to front us inventory for a while. We also had to raise our price to $129.95, which was enough to where we would at least break even on sales. We didn't get to take any profits for 90 days, but at least we could, continue selling without digging ourselves a deeper hole. Now, I've gotten a bit off topic from the point of this video, which is about people not wanting to pack and ship their own orders. But my point is we were able to raise our prices to $129.95 from where we started off at $102. When everybody else in our industry and all our competitors, for the most part, were charging anywhere from $95 to $105 for the same exact product that we were selling. We were able to do this, however, as we A, dominated the searches and search ranking on eBay and Amazon, and because people knew us and trusted us. They knew our customer service was on point, they knew their orders would be shipped out the same day, and they were willing to pay a premium for that service. Now, why this is relevant to the story is this. Well, we eventually did make nice big profit margins on our products for the first few months and possibly even first year or two, I don't remember exactly. We were packing orders for nearly nothing. Now, for any of you guys who are wanting to get into e-commerce but aren't willing to pack your own orders, to me that's a huge problem. When you pass your work off to somebody else, there's obviously going to be a cost associated with that. Because you're taking on additional costs, that means you're not able to price yourself as competitively as a guy who's packing his own orders. And because of that, your chances of your business taking off aren't good. Whereas if you started off lean and mean and built your business first, you would have a loyal customer base, could then raise your prices slightly down the road, and could afford to pass off some of these duties to other people or to a third-party service. The other issue I have with people that say things like this is I think it speaks to work ethic as well. Packing and shipping orders is probably the easiest and most mindless part of e-commerce. Literally, a monkey with 5 minutes of training could pack orders. If you have a child, say 5 years old or older, they could pack orders for you. And while it can be a bit tedious, packing and shipping orders is the easiest part of e-commerce. The challenging parts are figuring out what products to sell, researching products, driving traffic, ordering inventory, converting traffic into sales, dealing with payment processors, and other aspects. If the thought of packing up some orders is enough to scare you off, I would have to suggest that you don't even get started to begin with. And that kind of brings me to my next point. I think anyone wanting to get into e-commerce should really evaluate why. I notice on blogs, Reddit, YouTube videos, etc., opening a Shopify store or selling on eBay or Amazon is kind of the trend of the day. I think people may rush into e-commerce for no other reason than it's a fairly low barrier to entry and because, quote unquote, everybody else is doing it and it looks rather easy. It kind of reminds me of back in the early 2000s, actually say from 2000 to 2010 with the whole AdSense and Made for AdSense thing going on. That was kind of a popular thing to do. Lots of people online were holding up $100,000 AdSense checks every month, and everyone got into making blogs and sites and earning with AdSense. Now that later wound up fizzling out as Google came up with better algorithms and it was no longer possible to throw up poor quality one-page sites and drive traffic like crazy, and most of the people doing this wound up getting washed out of the business, leaving only the true entrepreneurs and bloggers around. My point is this though, examining why you want to get into e-commerce, if it's not because you have a true passion for e-commerce itself as well as the niche you're involved with, you may as well just move on to something else, find another hustle. So guys, just to recap, the main message I want to get across here in this video is this. First, when you're starting out, you're going to need to be lean and mean, and you're not going to be able to outsource every little task that you don't want to do. Second, work ethic. Picking and packing orders is about the easiest part of e-commerce, so if that scares you off, you probably want to move on to something else. And thirdly and lastly, evaluate why you want to get into e-commerce. Is it something you really want to do? Is it something that interests you and something that your skill sets lend themselves to? Or is it simply because it looks like the easy money and everybody else around is doing it, so you may as well give it a try? If these are your reasons, again, just move on to something else. You'll probably have more success with it. Now, I'll leave you with this one last, more positive message. I know not everybody's lazy. I know not everybody is asking because it's not because they're not willing to do the work. I know many of you guys have jobs and other responsibilities, and you probably just want to see if it's something that you can even take on, and that's why you ask a lot of these questions. Now, when you first start in e-commerce, you're not going to have 200 orders coming in every single day to pack like somebody who's more established, so it's not going to be overwhelming as you maybe think it would. Your business and sales are going to grow as you grow as a business person. You may start off getting only a few sales per week, and that'll be easy to pack. As the orders start to grow, you'll start to streamline your processes, and it won't seem as overwhelming. And by the time you actually do grow to the point where it's not really practical for you to be doing all your packing and shipping, at that point you'll be established enough and be making enough money to where you actually can outsource some of those tasks. Anyhow, guys, I'd love to hear your comments on this subject, so drop a comment in the comment section below. Have you started in e-commerce and realized that, this just isn't for me? Or are any of you guys in e-commerce doing your own packing and shipping and want to like share how much time it takes or about the process? And if you do it yourself but later wound up outsourcing it to somebody else over the course of your business, like how did that change? What was that process like? So would love to hear your guys' feedback on this topic. If you have anything to say, drop a comment in the comment section below. Anyhow, guys, that is today's video, and until next time, I will catch you guys later.